Welcome to the UnQualified podcast, where we believe God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. This is a space for real, unfiltered conversations about faith, healing, and growth, because the journey with God was never meant to be perfect, just honest. I'm your host, Paige Loehr, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the UnQualified podcast. I am Paige Loehr. We have Danielle Welch with us, as always. She is keeping us in line and online.
That's right.
Nice.
You like that? I thought that was cute. And then we have Aubrey Krueger with us. Okay. So this is my first time meeting her. This is going to be a really cool moment for us. This is a first on the podcast, a second guest on the podcast, but a first time. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I do root sessions. And so what root sessions are, I have a book that I published for women called The Roots in a Woman. And it just kind of hits on like those taboo topics that people don't like to talk about, but every woman is dealing with in some way, shape, or form. And to be honest, if you read my book, you're probably dealing with all of them at some point in your life. And so I kind of took that concept and I just partner with women in like spiritual Christian business, Christian coaching. And we cover things like, businesses. We cover, church hurt, which I'll get into that in a second. We cover trauma. We cover personal relationships, current relational issues. We can cover like, okay, I have spiritual gifts and I want to grow and develop them. There's so many things. I've had so many different root sessions where I'm going into it with kind of like I ask some discovery questions and I have an idea of what they're wanting to do or where they're wanting to go. But I use the Holy Spirit to guide these conversations. I like to tell people I am not a once a month for the rest of your life. I'm your quick fix, your nice little hit. You come to me a few times. I expect like some pretty quick transformation in your life because I utilize the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit takes you through so many processes. But I'm introducing this relationship or the Holy Spirit to your situation, and then like once you learn that, then you can go run off and do it yourself. So I always tell people like we really shouldn't have to be seeing each other for the rest of your life. Now you might have a gap and then need to come back to me for something else, and that's what I'm here for. And as always, I'll be a supportive role if that's what you need. So that's my root sessions, just so everybody here listening has kind of context to that. And so Aubrey has some context. I love to cover a variety of different things. I love to work with Christian women, kingdom-minded women. I love to work with business owners. I love to work with gifted creatives and help them grow those ideas. So yeah, it's pretty expansive. If you know me, I don't like to be put in a box. So what I would say if this was a root session and it was my first time meeting you, Aubrey, I would say, just so you know, I am not a therapist or a counselor, but I do operate like one, and this conversation is private and I will not be sharing it with anyone. But that's not the case for this.
That's out the window.
That's out the window. I appreciate you being willing to have this conversation online. I appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable with our listeners. But it was a conversation between me and Danielle where we're talking about church hurt, and we're trying to find ways to dig into the conversation deeper, beyond us just talking about our experiences or things that we've heard of. And it's like, well, let's do a root session live. And so this is perfect. And you guys just happened to have a conversation that it just flowed right into that. So I will say with everything I do, no matter what, the object or my focus is restore, repair, right? Bring the Holy Spirit along so that there's like a completion to this part of your story. So obviously in some relationships that doesn't mean reconciliation. It just means this person's heart is healed and made whole, and they are able to move on from these situations without currently hurting. So even though you guys don't just hop off because you're like, I don't want to hear somebody talk about church hurt, the goal is here to let's talk about the things that are really happening to people all the time.
all the time.
and let's just talk about it and let's work through it so we can show you a live version of what it looks like to take somebody's pain or take somebody's painful experience, hear it, listen to it, validate it, and then begin the process of moving forward. Um, so that's the goal. We're not going to bash churches and say, hey, they're all horrible. We're going to say, hey, this is my experience. Now, it could potentially relate to other people. What are some steps or what are some ways to think about it and how can we start moving forward? So, is that good? Nice ground rules. Anything you'd add, Danielle?
No, that's great. I'm just eager to do this and
Yeah.
be a fly
Me
on the
too.
wall. This is so
Yeah.
fun. This is so fun
Yeah.
for me.
It's
So,
so fun. I actually had my husband in on a root session with me for the first time, well, 2 weeks ago. And that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for him to see, like, he hears a lot of language and he hears me talk about things, not the people or their situations, but like just what I'm learning and what I'm growing in.
yeah.
But for him to see me like actively doing it. So it was fun. We should have more of that to come. So,
Well, yeah, I
um,
mean, like I've been working with you for 13 years now. Can you believe that?
that's
Wow.
crazy.
And you're my best friend right now. And Aubrey was my best friend in high school, like
Aw.
since we were 14. And so like it's like it'll be really cool to and we've yeah, it's just going to be cool from that perspective too. Um yeah, and I care about you both so much. So this is going to be like a treat for me. I don't know what I'm going to do here, but I'm going to watch and probably
Yeah.
write down some questions. But yeah, anyways, I'm excited to get started. So
Awesome. All right, let's just pray us into it and then I'll
yeah,
have you share. Dear Lord, we just thank you for who you are. We thank you for just everything that you are to us, everything that you've done for us, all of the ways that you provide for us, and not just like in all of the things and the everyday things, but you provide for our needs emotionally as well. Thank you for bringing language to your people so that we can heal. Thank you for creating in us a desire to heal the body of Christ and to heal the church, to be not just a part of the problem and not just complaining voices, but people willing to bring awareness to pain that is happening and then search for resolution and restoration in your name, Jesus. So we thank you for that, and we just ask that you be with us in this conversation and guide me in this conversation and highlight anything to me that needs to be highlighted and that you plan to take care of. So we give it to you, and we love you so much. Amen.
amen.
So, Aubrey, before we get into the nitty gritty, tell us about yourself.
My name is Aubrey, and I am live in Wichita, and I've been friends with Danielle for a long time. Feel like I know Paige, but I don't. I lived in Kansas City a while ago, and I had heard about you and kind of followed along through Danielle with you. And you are so incredibly inspiring, and Danielle is, and I have always looked up to Danielle, but literally looked up. And this is a true honor, and I'm really hoping that you ladies can help me get through this healing because I do want to heal from the hurt that I've experienced. And it's important that I can get past this. It's very important to me. So I am really looking forward to today.
Okay, so Aubrey, tell me about like your life currently. Like, what does your life look like? What do you do? If you're given your most people tell me this and it annoys me. So make it as long as you want. But people are like, you need to know your elevator pitch. I'm like, but like if you had a brief interaction and somebody was like, who are you?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Well, I am a wife and I have been married for about a year and a half. I have a daughter that's 14, and I have recently, within the last 3 years ago, I adopted a little one who is now 5, and that came into life completely unexpectedly, but one of the biggest gifts that I've been given, all God. And I have a stepson as well that's 8. So I enjoy being a mother. I enjoy being a wife. I am in oncology. I am a lung patient navigator, so I help on the diagnosing side of lung cancer and also help patients navigate after diagnosis as well, as that journey is very hard emotionally, physically, with all the things, keeping track of everything. So I enjoy helping. I've been in oncology for over 10 years now, and it is where my heart is.
Well, sorry. Yeah, it's where your heart is. What an I didn't know that's what you do.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, your own story as a child dealing with
Yeah.
cancer battles, your daughters,
Yes.
your family. Oh my gosh. Okay, keep
Yes.
going. Wow, the Lord has you right where you're supposed to be. Wow,
Yes.
amazing.
So I really love what I do. I love oncology. It is definitely where my heart is. Um, and like I said, I did not say, but I do also lead a um, women's group. We call us the Seasoned Sisters, and it's like a life group. So I enjoy doing that. And my daughter plays sports, and that keeps me extremely busy all the time with traveling and sports and being her Uber driver. And now the littlest one just got into sports. So
Man,
I do a lot of mom duties.
woman.
Yes.
Okay, I love it. Um, okay, so tell me about a little bit about that. I call it family of origin. Like, you can be specific, brief. This is just to build a foundation of who you are. So it's like, okay,
Mhm.
this is who you are right now. Let's talk a
Yes.
little bit about who you've been. And like Danielle touched on a point there. So she said
Yes.
there's a piece of that to your past. So like bring up as much as of that as you want, or you can be pretty clean. Like you
Yeah.
can say, this is what I experienced, get into a little bit of detail, or you can just kind of give the bullet pointed version, just whatever you
Yes.
feel like you're supposed to do.
Yeah, my parents divorced when I was about three, two or three. So at a very young age, I don't remember my parents being together. Um, I was with my mom more than my dad. I think, we visited a little bit on once a week and then every other weekend. My dad worked a lot. We have a family business, so he worked a significant amount. I was pretty much when I was with him, I was with my grandparents. When I was with my mom, life was always really busy. Like I've only ever known busy and chaotic. She did daycare in our home, my entire growing up until like I was 19 years old. And so she had those kids, I mean, like on a schedule. We were always doing something. So, and then 5 o'clock hit and we were going to sports. I have two siblings, all same mom, same dad. And we were always active in our sports and with friends and very social. So always on the go, or when we were at my dad's, we were usually with grandparents. Sometimes my dad, and my stepmom at the time. My mom I love you, mom, but she was in and out of relationships and she had, been married quite a few times and my years of until I was about 19. And then she was with him for her last husband for a significant amount of time. So many different, men kind of in and out of my life. And my dad and stepmom got divorced actually the year my daughter was born and diagnosed with brain cancer. So when she
Your
was,
daughter?
yes, she
Okay.
was 7 months old and she was diagnosed with brain cancer. Um, at that time, her dad and I were together, and so we conquered that for the first couple years together, and kept life as tried to be as normal as possible. And then shortly after that, we then split. Um, but we have navigated it well, and yeah. that's kind of where we're at.
How long was the cancer battle with your daughter?
2 years. Yeah.
Um, okay. So tell me about, so you and dad, her dad co-parent together.
Um,
Well,
not so much.
you can just
Yeah, not so much.
summarize that for me. How is that
He,
relationship for her? We'll
yeah,
just go that lane.
okay, yeah, he lives out of the state, and
Okay.
in the last 2 years, it's been getting better.
Okay.
Um, the relationship with stepmom and I have helped significantly. She's really helped navigate that relationship better, which is amazing. It's getting there.
Okay.
So, but before that, there was not a whole lot of
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So, dealing with a lot in the beginning of your daughter's life, you have your own story of a lot of shifting and moving parts, not a ton of stability. That doesn't necessarily have to mean like anything crazy. We could get into that more in a different discussion. But regardless, it wasn't mom, dad, home, normalcy. It was moving parts, moving
yes,
pieces. So then you
yes.
have your own, you're starting your life, you're going into your new season, and you have this beautiful baby girl, and then there's an immediate disruption that is thrown at you. So then you have 2 years of processing that. Okay, so then tell me about, the relationship, and the relationship that you're in now, your marriage. When did you guys meet slash come together? And yeah, what that looks like, where that's at now.
Yeah, we got together. We've been together little over 8 years
Okay.
now. We've been married for a year and a half of that, but we were together prior, obviously, for a while. Um, and that actually plays a big part of all of this. We'll get into later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we we did live together very soon into our relationship. I feel like on the first night we met, we actually fell in love, and I mean, it was really. We have a lot of similar. We have very similar upbringings in all aspects, and literally, I think we heard each other's life story on the very first night. And so it just really it clicked fast, and we moved in with each other faster than obviously we would have liked to. And so
Yeah. Well, how old was your daughter when he comes into her life? I could
um
do the math, but
sh-
.
yeah, she was uh oh gosh, she was 6. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, let me just write that. I never know what key points I need to know.
You're okay. Yeah, so in that their relationship, you got to understand, like, she obviously has a hard time trusting anybody, but men in general very
Yeah,
much.
right.
So that has been an ongoing situation, relationship, lots of ups and downs, and lots of help, from God and therapy and all the things with that relationship and trusting and all the things. So,
Okay. Before your current husband, was there relationships that kind of stood out to her, like between her dad and your current husband? Was there other relationships or people that she had gotten close to that it just didn't work out?
yes, there was one prior. I don't think now she has a whole lot of recollection of it, but yes, then she did for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so now I have a good idea of where the story is, obviously
Mhm.
very high level, lots of detail
Mhm.
and all of this, lots of nuance for each of you individually as people. Okay, so tell me about your story. We're talking about church hurt, and obviously there's a story for you. Um, and a reason why you feel the need to have this conversation. And there's obviously some really significant stories out there, but every story is different and unique. And so I just want you to start getting into that story and kind of preface in the sense of like where you're at in your life when you start attending said church, and then kind of get into the story from there.
Yeah, I actually started attending the church when my daughter was 3.
Okay.
I was very committed to another church and was just invited to this other one. And I remember my daughter like coming home reciting verses at age 3 and like saying all these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like she really was clicking. So we made the switch and I've been there ever since. And I actually still do go there. Um, so that we've been attending since I was 3. Granted, I was on and off at different times in my life, I will admit. Um, but that happened. Fast forward, I got with my husband, who's now my husband. And when we first started dating, the fact that he didn't go to church did not bother me. Um, you know, I still invited him and I got a no. And I tell people like this is probably one of my biggest testimonies. I invited him almost every single Sunday for over 4 years.
Wow.
And I got a no, or I didn't get an answer, or I got a grumble, or maybe there was a little extra attitude behind it, But for a solid 4 years, I asked him to go to church, and he would go on Christmas, Easter. He was like CEO, if you've heard
Right.
that. So Christmas and Easter only,
Yep.
but which was fine. I was thankful. I was just praying those entire services, like, please, please click, something like that. But it didn't bother me. But the longer we were together, it did actually start to bother me. I felt my level of relationship with God really becoming significantly stronger. And the stronger it became, the more that was important to me,
Right.
um, that he came to church with me.
Yeah.
So I just continued to invite. And one day I really don't even recall inviting. So let me throw this out there. I would always take his son also with
Okay.
me. So because he wanted to go, he wanted to
Right.
go with my daughter. So I would take his son and my daughter, we would go to church on Sundays. We would come home. Like that was just what we did. It was our time. So there was one Sunday, and I really don't even know when it was. I was trying to write my notes down and make a timeline, but I really don't really remember when it was. It's been a couple years now, but he was getting in the shower and I was like, well, that's weird. And he got in the shower and I was like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to church. And he was like,
Sounds
he
like
had an attitude about it. And I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, cool. Didn't say a lot because, he's one of those men that if you kind of make it a bigger deal than it is, he's going to step back. So I just went with it. We all got in the car and you know it was great. He came and I think he was tired of his son actually asking, because the older he got, the more he started to understand
Right.
that like, why is dad not coming,
Yeah.
so I think that was really the case. But he came and he's came ever since, unless he's like out of
Wow.
town fishing. So it hit, and since then, I mean, his brother comes and
Wow.
sister-in-law, and we have a lot of family there. His dad comes on and off, so
Wow.
it's really been incredible to watch that. Um, it's a very tender relationship. He's a very tender-hearted man. I love him, but
Oh,
um, it's a very tender. It's still, people think this is crazy, but it's still really not we'll converse about the conversation a little bit afterwards, like on the drive home, but it's not really something we actually sit down and talk about. I'm still praying for that to happen, but it's still pretty new to him. Um, so that is a big part of the groundwork.
Okay.
But it was so he was going to church at the time the hurt happened. He was going to church. He had been going with me for about almost a year, if not maybe a little less.
Okay.
And it was, I should probably say, I served at our church since I've been going, since my daughter was 3. I have served, I counted a total of 3 times prior to serving now. So why did I stop in between there? I don't know. Things in life came up,
Right.
my daughter's sports, all the
Right.
things. So 3 times prior to me serving then, like currently, um, keep that in mind. So
Yeah.
Uh, my husband had been going to church for a steady almost a year, and it was December 4th. And so right before Christmas, keep that in mind, I get a text from the kids pastor, and she was so sweet, and she was like, I'm just reflecting on what you shared in huddle this week, and I'm just so happy to hear what God's doing in your life. Thank you for sharing. I would love to hear more about it. Can we get coffee sometime? And I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I felt so important that she just texted me and invited me to do coffee. This is great. Like, I was like, my heart was just exploding for Jesus. Like,
Mm.
this is wonderful. And so I think we rescheduled once due to something that I had come up. And then we ended up meeting on December 13th. So we were really before Christmas. I had already signed up to serve our Christmas services because there was multiple. So I had already signed up to serve for that Christmas service. And I should probably add on to this. I was like a lead teacher in the 5-year-old classroom. Okay. So it wasn't like I was just a helper, like those kids had stole my heart. I
Yeah.
love children and the parents. Like I had established relationship with these parents. Like I've been going to this church a long time. I see them in the halls still. So it was December 13th. We met. We had met actually at the church, and she was just hyping up the fact, oh my gosh, tell me everything God's doing. Tell me about this. My good thing that I told was that our adoption had actually been finalized. Very sporadic. Like it was, I didn't even know that's where we were with the process. So it had been finalized November 28th. And then it must have been that next huddle that I had shared the good news. And then so we're fast forward to December 13th. We actually meet, we sit down at church. She is like hyping up the whole thing, and I was excited too. And then it was the very end, and she asked me all kinds of things and was just so excited. And then I don't exactly remember her wording, but she said something to the fact of, well, the real reason we're here, or what I really needed, I think it was what I really needed to talk to you about. And my heart just kind of sank.
Mm.
And she was shaking, okay? And she was very uncomfortable as well. I could tell that. And I didn't know what was coming. Like it still hadn't nothing. And she was like, well, um, I don't remember exactly, but pretty much I got fired. I was not able to serve anymore because my boyfriend and I at the time were cohabitating. So I bawled immediately. My stomach was, I mean, all the things were going through my head. I was like, thinking, I can't tell my husband. Like, my husband is just trusting God. Like, he is just becoming close, and he was becoming like he really had a good amount, like very high respect for our campus pastor. And they were actually trying to work out like a lunch or a date at the time and connect. There was just so much building and like going on with him and his relationship and trusting the church and all the things. So I was like, I can't go home and tell him this. Like, it's going to ruin this. Like, I've worked so hard. This is something I've dreamed of. And so it was very, I just remember I bawled. I bawled. I don't even know. I think she kept saying, "Are you okay?" Something to that nature. I finally stopped crying and like I kid you not, I stopped crying and she was like, "Oh, but you can serve on this, you can be a greeter." And I'm like I was like, "Well, I'll have to think about it." And that like was another kick in the gut. Like, I'm not good enough to do this, but I'm good enough to do this. And it was very like it hurt very bad. That probably hurt just as much as her telling me that I wasn't able to serve anymore on with the kids. And she also was saying that there was a so before you serve, you have to answer questions, and apparently, which I probably did. I probably did. I just probably went through it. I agree, I agree, I agree, I agree. I had served 3 times prior to this. So when I got this, when I had to redo it, I probably just pressed I agree. Didn't even read it until after the fact. I acted like I was going to go sign up again just to see the questions that I did not tell the truth on, I will admit. So that happened. I was super sad. I went home. I had no intention of telling my husband, or my boyfriend at the time, but I could not keep myself together. I was an emotional wreck. Cried the whole way home. I was very hurt. And to fast forward, you
Wait,
know,
pause. Pause one
okay,
second.
okay.
Okay, you can try to hopefully you can remember where you were about to go. But
Oh,
I've got
you're
to
okay.
take you a couple steps back. So you're having this conversation, you're excited about it. And she says, the real reason I am here, or what I really needed to talk to you about.
Mhm.
Slow down and tell me exactly what my heart sank means to you.
I I felt very like I felt like I was being accused, first of all. And I everything was just going through my head about I wasn't going to see these parents again. Like, what are these parents going to think? What's the lady that I served with, what's she going to think? Like, what is going to be said about me? Like, if I continue to keep going to this church, which really wasn't an option at the time because I wasn't going to tell my husband. I didn't want to lose his faithfulness in the church. Um, like what's going to be said? Like, I don't want lies going around about me, or um, I mean, I I was very hurt because she made me feel like I had done like I was a terrible person.
Yeah.
And yes, I did do something wrong. Apparently, I did not read the questions before I agreed to them. But and then the fact that she offered another position to me made me feel even less of a person. And
Yeah, so let me dig into that. Okay, so you're offered a greater role, but you can't work with the kids. What does that say to you?
well, I was very upset. And after I left, I was thinking about the fact that, like, I just remember, I don't remember who I called or what happened, but am thinking, like, wait a second, I am way more likely, like, why would I even have a conversation with a child, no matter how old they are, about my cohabitating with my boyfriend or anything about my boyfriend at that. Like,
Right.
that's not why I'm there to serve. Um, or a parent, you know, and I am way more likely to have a conversation, or the lady I was serving with. I'm more likely to have a conversation about any of that with an actual adult that I would be serving with on the other team. And
Mhm.
I just, I didn't understand. I understand and I understood. Yes, in the perfect world, I think it's great that, the people that are teaching our children are not cohabitating. Do I want my daughter to cohabitate? No. But um do I also you know, I know life is, realistic, and I also know that no family's perfect. And I really had to I'm probably jumping around, but on the car ride home, I really had to reel myself in because she had made me feel so small and so terrible. And I had to remind myself, of all the things that I've been through in my life, how this was approached was not good or professional. And maybe she has been lucky in her life to not have experienced what I've been through. And maybe she didn't know a way to better approach it. And at the end of the day, she was just following the church guidelines.
Yeah, so let me let me give you an example so I can help you identify what you were feeling. There's a couple things because the way you get past something is you have to understand what you came into agreement with in that situation so you can break that agreement and move forward, right? So,
Mhm.
okay, let me just you work in oncology. Okay. You said, and I'm just going, I don't know all the details of what you do, but I'm going to give you a scenario, whether this fits in what you actually do on a regular basis or not, just for example purposes. So you're working with people post diagnosis and you're helping them process that, right? So what if that is your job, that's what you're doing? Somebody comes in and takes tests in order to find out this information, or they come in with no idea of, hold on one second. I'm going to see if my husband can actually. Can you guys hear that?
No,
You can't hear that? You don't,
no,
no. You're not worried about it?
I don't
Okay.
hear a thing.
My baby is screaming. Hold on.
Well, Zoom's really good about highlighting the voice of the person on the call and then keeping
Okay.
it
Okay.
there.
Okay.
That's why it's hard to have two people on a Zoom in the same room
Right.
because it can't.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're good.
Okay. They are just screaming. Um, okay. So let me just paint a picture for you and an example for you, and then you can hopefully I can help you get to some deeper rooted things. So a person comes in for a general health exam. Let's not even say they're coming in to an oncology doctor, right? So they go in for a general health exam. They're sharing exciting news or just things happening in their life, things happening in their body, things happening in their health. They get a follow-up phone call that says, "Hey, I was very excited about some of the things that you shared with us, and I would like for you to come in and talk more about your health. Explain to me more about your health, and I'm just excited to get to know you, and maybe even be like a health provider for you or whatever, right?" So the person comes in and they're like excited because they're like maybe I'm a poster child for these people. Maybe I'm like, they want to put me on the billboard for their hospital. Like, I'm the picture of health and I'm the best, I am a great client and I am just really, really great, right? So they come into this room and they're like, okay, tell me about like what your eating is like. Tell me about your vitamins. Tell me about your workout regimen. Tell me about all of these things in your health. And they're like, okay. And they're talking about it. And they're like, oh, this is great. And you're so interested in me. Everybody loves that. That's really a good feeling. And then they say, well, I just needed to let you know, I also like the real reason I brought you here, or what I really need to talk to you about is after reviewing your test results, I found out that you had cancer. Now, tell me if you were the person, if that was you, right? Or let me just say, if you're the person in the next room, that's going to help them process that. What do you think are going to be the most significant issues with that conversation?
The very end
The very end,
when,
right? But why?
because
Not just because of the devastation of it.
yeah,
It's
the
the
di the diagnosis and delivery, how it was delivered.
delivery. It's the
Yes.
shock. So
Yes.
when you're in a situation and you are not provided pieces of context, that means like it's like you're being ambushed.
Correct.
So regardless of all of it, and we'll get to that a little bit in a second, it's like you were delivered bad information with zero preparation. Actually, in fact, you were delivered bad information with positive
Yes.
preparation, which
Correct.
actually adds another layer to it. So it's like you being brought into a room and you think this person is going to shower love and affection and they assault you.
Correct.
Okay. So it's that feeling of ambush. It's that feeling of trust. It's not even like what you are saying to me, I can't accept. It's the way you did this. I can't accept what you're saying to me because the way that this has happened. The fact that I was brought in for this and then this is what was said. More importantly, did she come to this conclusion because of things you were vulnerably sharing in huddle?
That is what I still don't know to this day.
So,
Um, I don't recall even saying anything about Dustin or um, my boyfriend, or at
yeah.
the time was my boyfriend. I don't even recall saying anything about that. And I do know for a fact prior to this conversation, they were very aware, her and the head pastor were very aware that we were in a relationship and not married and living together.
Okay, so you know that they were aware of that. So even if it wasn't information shared in a safe place, it was still, she used information that you shared in a safe place as the lure or the bait in order to draw you into a conversation.
I'm like,
So
did somebody tell on me? Did somebody have
right,
a problem with me?
right,
And that's what
right,
else was going through my head. I'm like, I don't have a problem with anybody for as far as I know. Like, I know
right,
a lot of people that go to that church. Like, I invited a ton of people. Like, I was
right,
part of that location,
right.
like
Yeah.
opening it.
Yeah, so for the people that, the keyboard Christians that could be potentially be in the comments, let's establish a couple things. Do you agree that churches are allowed to have standards?
Yes.
Do you agree that if this is one of the standards, then the people volunteering should live by them?
No.
Okay.
I don't
What
let
about
me
that?
let me rephrase that. I don't maybe the answer should be no, I don't agree. I don't know. I don't
Tell,
agree with
tell
all
me
standards.
tell me what you struggle with about it.
I struggle most that, we that it's not a I struggle most with that it is a rule per se,
Okay.
or that it is I think it's silly. I think they need to probably get with times and know that if you are in need of, there's a lot other people out there that would serve and would love to, but since I have been very vulnerable and shared with people around me, like I know that there's far more that's been hurt by me. And
Right.
like Danielle said, I demand change. Like this is not okay. Nothing of this standard or anything is okay.
Right.
And do I agree that there are going to be standards? Absolutely. Like, agree. But I don't know. I just think the things I feel like are situational or should be.
Right. I agree. I think I will have to say that now that I have a church, I would have to rethink all of these things. And I'm not, I could see myself building in one of those, a standard like that.
Yeah.
But the challenge, what I will say is that if you're going to build in that type of standard, then you need to be actively involved in the lives of the people. So let's just say, do you feel like you would disagree with that standard as much as you do currently if there was care shown to you in your relationship? If, let's just say, the pastors or some of the pastoral staff was engaged in your life, engaged in your relationship, they had already expressed, hey, this is a standard that we have. We know you want to serve. How can we help you guys progress in your relationship? Okay, so if that conversation was said, if that care was being done, let me re-ask the question. Do you have a problem with the church having that standard?
No.
Okay. So you believe in standards.
Yes.
You believe in churches being able to have standards and operate by them.
Absolutely. Yes.
But you believe, and I'm not going to put words into your mouth. I'm posing this as a question, but you believe an ultimate standard of the church should be care.
100%.
Okay. So did you feel cared for at all in that situation?
No.
What was the follow-up like?
Well, I go to a therapist. I went to a therapist far before this happened,
No,
and
what was the follow-up from the church like? I need to know what their actions afterwards. How did they care for you
um,
after dropping this?
like nothing ever happened.
Okay.
I will say that she did not look at me in the eye or speak to me for a, a while, maybe a month or two, if not more. But now and since then, like nothing ever happened. I will say the head pastor stopped trying to do lunch or dinner with my husband or my boyfriend at the time. And it was very hard.
Yeah.
I failed to mention my daughter was serving also, and she was a part of the hurt, and um she felt my hurt, and she was a
Yeah.
part of the hurt, and so she also was like, I don't think I can serve now, mom. Like, so she stopped serving as well, and she was working with, I think, the 2 and 3 year olds at the time and had been. So
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about collateral damage. Your daughter stopped serving. What you went home and you couldn't hold yourself together because you were just ambushed. You were not only like processing some pretty heavy information, you were not prepared for it. So your body's thrown off, you're dysregulated. So you go home and you say to your husband, what? Like what? Tell me about this conversation. Tell me about his
I
response.
I started crying, and he asked me how it went, and he was very confused because he knew when I left I was very excited.
Right.
And so I I just remember telling him, like, I think it just vomited out of my mouth what had
Yeah.
just happened and how she approached me with it. And I said something to the fact of, it's okay. Like, I kind of just started making excuses for her. Like, she probably just hasn't gone through very many things. She probably doesn't really know what challenge is. And I just started hurrying and making excuses for her because on the delivery, because I didn't want him to be hurt like I was and withdraw himself from something that had really was beginning. I mean, it was life changing. I mean, God's really done work and significant work in his life, and had been. And so I just continue to make excuses for her. I'm like, but it's okay. It's okay, you know? And he was like, no, it's not okay. Like, you know, and everyone around me was saying, like, to pretty much just like not go there, you know, like, this is
Right.
ridiculous. Like, you need to stop.
Right.
You're such a great person, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't have one person telling me to return to that church. Not one.
Yeah.
But you did.
So why did you?
Yeah.
Because I knew that the connection, well, I I knew first and foremost that connection for my husband was important to me. It was important to where our relationship was going and had gone. And I, my children have connections, and our little one loves going, and my daughter still loves going. However, she did not go to her youth group for months after this happened. Actually, I don't even think she returned until the next school year. And I knew that I had been the strong kind of leader of our home, and I wasn't going to let that position come down because I knew my husband wasn't strong, or my boyfriend wasn't strong enough to uphold that. And it was like I had my family on my shoulders and I needed to still be a good leader. The thought of going to other churches, was scary. I really like the message and the head pastor of our church that does the services. I really have I've connected, and that church is who I am today. The church and God and everything. I've invited. I literally. This is another thing that made me cry so hard on the way home. Is like there are so many people serving at that church and going to that church because I invited them. And it still is very hard because they're still serving and I'm still hurting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I I don't go and tell this story just for no reason. Like I only tell if they'll ask, like, why aren't you serving? Or, I don't just go put this out there, but it is very hurtful. I know a significant amount of people that go to that church and are loyal, and they are my friends, and like they're there because I invited them. And of course, they continue to go, obviously, but um, I don't know. I did it for my family, and not to mention, I mean, I've been tithing to that church. I've been financially committed in growing, the kingdom and the church and all the things for 6 years. And, I'm very devoted. I guess I just put to the side that somebody who apparently didn't know how to handle this situation, I wasn't going to allow them to dictate me, like my position at the church as far as attending.
That's the key. That's the right answer. That's your truth. Okay.
Yes.
So all of the things that you said first are the reasons that you told yourself. Good reasons, great reasons. The last reason is the truth. The last reason is I wasn't going to allow her to dictate my attendance at this church. That's fair. That's I get that. That is like the core, and that's going to be like, so that when I look at that, it's like I'm trying to find a way to, I like to give visual examples. Maybe I'll just verbally explain. I like to think of, it's not coming to me right off my head. So you have this at the core. It's I am not going to allow her to dictate anything. But my kids love it. My husband's not strong enough to lead. You have friends there. You've been tithing there. So all of those are like the surrounding and the layers and the things that make it feel noble and right. But at the core and at the base is she hurt you and you don't want her to win.
Mhm.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
So someone hurt me. I don't want them to win. And so you are allowing her to dictate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She is making the decision. This is not me saying you should leave. This is me saying when you make the decision to stay, it is going to be completely irrelevant to what she did. And we want to find healthier and better reasons than even all the ones that you listed as padding to the truth. Because none of them are enough to stay somewhere where you're in pain. So the reason why this is still hurting is not because the incident was so unbelievably dramatic that you don't have the maturity to move on, which is what a lot of Christians would, blurt out, oh, forgiveness and oh, all this. It's because you're still sitting in a place of harm. There was no follow up, no restoration, a complete lack of care and neglect. Are these people horrible people? Absolutely not. She mishandled the situation and then there was no follow up. So technically, if I'm just being generous and kind and gracious because everybody needs grace, they just don't have
Mhm.
the infrastructure in place to properly
Yeah.
handle situations like this. Um, the way she handled the situation was not at all okay, and there should be a repercussion for that. But then it's also built in, what did you tell yourself? There's this like core theme of like, okay, well, I can't lead the kids, but I can be a greeter. So like, am I not safe for kids?
Right.
Is that your view of me?
Yeah.
And as a mother and someone who's gone to war for your child, that is a key theme as well. So you've got, you guys think I'm not safe for children because of something trivial in comparison to your true safety for children and your ability to care for children. So it's a standard. We got it. We agree with that.
Get
We
it. Yep.
understand it, right? It's a standard. We don't want to argue that point. But man, I care for children. So being told that I can't serve at all, that would be one thing. Being told I can't serve with children, but I can serve in this other area, you're telling me I'm not safe for children. I'm not a good influence for children. I could potentially tamper with their purity. Okay. So there's this core theme right here. And then and I'm not going to allow her to make my decisions. So all of this is like, even like being ambushed, all of that is the circumstance, but the impact is the core of it, which is what is being said to you. You're not safe for children. Okay? So that's the core. Everything surrounding it, which is serious. All of these things are serious. Being able to name, being ambushed, caught off guard, being lured in under false pretenses, all of those things are being named. But then the core is what you walk away being told and then ultimately choosing to believe or not believe.
Yeah.
And whether you believe it or don't believe it, it's in there.
It's in there.
It's a label.
Yeah.
Well, because why? Because if someone asks you, why aren't you serving the kids? It's the label. I'm not safe for kids. Okay.
Yep.
So there's that label. And then there's I am not going to allow her to make my decisions. And these are like two things. There might be more in here, but these are two things that are that undercurrent that needed to be named. You have to come out of agreement with, I'm not safe for kids. And you have to come out of agreement with, I'm not going to allow her to dictate, because ultimately she is, right? If she
Yeah.
wasn't, if that situation wasn't dictating your decision, it wouldn't have even been mentioned, because then it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But
Yeah.
it was the last thing you said, and it was like, and the final, and then when I see your face, like I see the
Yeah.
way you say it and the way you feel it. And I'm going to hold my head strong. I'm not going to allow you to think you've hurt me, but I'm hurting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow you to cause me to have to go somewhere else,
Yeah.
but I'm suffering, right? And then all of the other reasons that you add to it to make it safe and feel less prickly to everyone,
Yeah.
right? Which is fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, but even like here's the thing, like even with your husband, like the leading would just be like, we are going to go into another, we are going to as a family seek something out that's better for our family. I'm not saying that's what you should have done. That's not.
Yeah.
It could, like, all of the reasons you could find somewhere else, a place that your kids like, a connection, connections for your husband. And quite frankly, like if he's the pastor stopped reaching out to him, he's never gotten with his pastor. there's
Uh-huh.
definitely there's definitely a lot of churches where you could find that the pastor would be willing to sit with your husband.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this is not the church for you.
Yeah.
I'm coming at the false reasons
Yes.
and saying there's a core here, and that needs to be dealt with, because Jesus and the Holy Spirit leading you need to be the ones dictating the decisions that you make,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
forgiveness is tricky. You have to name every piece of it. So like you can forgive somebody and then something comes up again, either because their behavior triggers it again, they're displaying patterns, or um, because there's a new layer that was revealed, right? So I might have even just revealed new layers. Okay. So there's these layers. And so forgiveness is a process, and it's um cyclical. Like it's a cycle. Like you will go through it again. I have, issues with my father. It's cyclical. I've healed, something else happens. I've grown, something else happens. I've changed, and every season of life there's new things, right? And so you have these core things happening in you, so you're trying to forgive, you're trying to heal. And even if you can say like I forgive her because she ambushed me, it's like it's not like she must have not had it. You are giving excuses, right? So it's she must have not known how to deal with this. Not she wasn't taught. She handled that incorrectly, but that's okay. She may have not been through a lot in her life. All of these reasons that you give her, instead being able to name that was misleading. That was really hurtful. That there was a complete lack of care in the sense of I didn't get a message afterwards like how are you taking this? How are you handling this? I'm so sorry. I had to be the like the follow up, the lack of follow up. So these things as you name them, then you can say, "Okay, God, help me forgive this feeling, this core feeling. Help me sit back in the seat where I say, my heart sank.
Mm.
Help me sit in that emotion for a second and let me heal that. Let me heal the shock. Let me heal the surprise. Let me heal the what is this person going to think? Let me heal the oh, this is going to mess up my husband's relationship with God. Let me heal like every moment surrounding it for for the situation. And then at the core, my desire is for you, Jesus. My desire is to serve you, Jesus. I don't ever want to fall short. I am okay with standards. I would love, with your help, to pursue standards at the highest level, but I need you to heal the way this standard made me feel.
Yeah. And I agree with everything. And I felt like I was at a much better healing point until I was hurt again. When it kind of, like you said, it came back to surface, like it was a cycle. And it
Yeah.
literally, like, I guess it came back to surface when I wanted to start a life group. And it was a leadership role, as they call the youth people. But I was then married. And so I didn't know the dynamics of that until I went to pick up some books for our Bible study. And I was being talked about when I walked in to get them. And am I assuming they were talking about me? Yes. But am I very sure they were speaking of me? Yes. 99.9, just because I knew who was there. Like I knew.
Yeah.
And my gut was telling me, and my heart was telling me.
Right.
And I had already told the lady on the phone that unfortunately, I didn't want my life group to be a part of the church. Like I wanted it to be something that I just did. I didn't want it posted on the board. I didn't want it out there because I didn't see a need for that. I don't want stipulations. I don't want it to be cookie cutted, cookie cut. Like I wanted all the misfits, And anyways, it came to surface again. And that I believe is why I felt very comfortable opening up to Danielle about this. And probably before then I wouldn't have, because I did feel at a much place of healing until I didn't.
So it's like you had been able to successfully talk yourself out of the situation until the pattern
Yes,
resurfaced.
correct.
Oh,
Yes.
it's fine.
Yeah.
That was super painful, but they didn't mean it.
Yes.
Oh, here we are again.
Yeah.
So this is a pattern. So this is going to be my norm. So is this my norm?
Yes.
So every time I want to do more for the Lord.
Exactly. And that is who I have really kept my eye on through all
Yeah.
this. And things that you've said, like you said, you've opened up things in me and kind of got my mind thinking. But I appreciate that deeply, because I do want to heal. I want to be able to lead my group of,
Yeah.
ladies like better. But I I want to be a good leader, and I don't I just, like you said, things keep resurfacing, and it maybe the second hurt was actually more than the first hurt, in a way. And it's something that I think about every time I walk through the doors, and it hurts.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
And I keep my eyes on Jesus, and I keep my eyes on my family, and it's enough. But I think to myself, what if I was able to feel the amazingness that I felt prior to all of this even happening?
Mm. Mm.
But then I also feel that this is just like a part of his plan. Like, I feel like there's something big in the works, so
yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot.
This is this is this is your Christianese, your spiritual bypassing. Well, this must be my cross to bear, to walk into a church, and every single time I walk into the church, I think about who's hurt me.
Yeah.
But that's like, imagine this. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Does this sound right to you?
No.
This sentence I'm about to tell you. I'm about to.
Oh, okay.
It
What I
already
just said?
doesn't. It already doesn't. My cross to bear is that my church has hurt me 2 times so significantly that I must continue to go there. And every single time I walk into the doors, I'm in pain and I think about the situation. And that is a part of the plan in Jesus' name. No. Or does it sound like Jesus would come to you and sit by you and say, "Hey, this is going to be really, really painful for you forever, but that's what you must do for me." No. Okay. So, um, so once again, it's like these are the things that is that spiritual bypassing. Like God has something bigger in store. This must be a part of his plan. And I will tell you, I myself am very guilty of this. Okay. Um, God does have big plans for you. He does not intend for you to stay in places of harm, though. He may want you to stay, but you need to heal. He may want you to move forward and move on. I can't give you that answer, but I can say that remaining in pain is not a part of his plan. Okay. Also, question, I'll backtrack a little bit. So, this life group situation, they just told you no? Like, explain that to me for a second.
So our church does an event once a year, and then there's a Bible study that comes after it. And I had been wanting to start a Bible study prior to that, and it just the right time, it was just it all aligned at the right time. And I'm like, this is my go. I'm going to do it. So I started this group. Our first study was the study that was happening that was coincided with the event. And there was books. And I was not the only, I didn't know this prior, but the only way to get the books apparently was to be a part of a Bible study at the church. And I did not know that. So I, after the event, went up and I found one of the leaders and I said, hey, I'm needing 12 books. And they're like, oh, are you leading a Bible study? Like, what is it one that's registered with us? And I was like, no, it's just one that I'm doing at my house. And, I have friends that we meet once a week or once every other week. And she was like, oh, well, we'll see if we have any extras left over. Right? Go ahead and write your name and phone number down. So I did. And then they called and said that, they were like just hyping me up, like, oh, that's awesome. I want to go ahead and get your life group registered. And I was like, well, actually, I told the lady that, and I believe she was actually a volunteer. I don't think she was a leader. I think she was a volunteer that was just manning the book sign up. And so I had said, I'd actually told the lady that I wasn't wanting to register my group. I just do it out of my home. And it's, we were really full, like we had a lot of people and I wanted it to be intimate. So I didn't want it to be on the board and more people join just because it was so full. And I was worried the people there weren't going to open up if we had too many people there. I mean, 12 is a lot.
Yeah.
And so, she was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see we'll see what I can do. And then I got another call from somebody and I was like, we had already met once or twice and I had already talked about it. I didn't know it was going to be this big of a trouble. And I just went with it. I'm like, okay, fine. Here's my information, and she's like, but you're full, right? And I'm like, yes. So I was like, I just went with it. I got the books, but when I went to go pick up the books is when I walked into a conversation and it was with the head pastor and the pastor that was in charge of the books, I'll say, per se, and who I had just got off the phone with a little bit prior to that because I was on my way to drop off my daughter at youth. And so that was very painful. And I think they gave me 10 or something. I don't remember, but I'm just like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. So I
So
just made copies.
what did they say? They said we're not going to register you with us,
No, they
or
No, they
registered.
like
did.
what was the
They
They,
registered her, but she didn't
okay.
want to be registered.
yeah, they registered and just put my
Uh,
life group as full.
oh, okay.
Yes.
Aubrey just wanted
So,
the books. They gatekeep the
right?
books. They just gatekeep the books.
Well, it didn't used to be like that. Remind
Okay.
you, went to this church for a long time,
Yeah.
and I had
Lots of
went to
books.
this event every single year, and I have never
Yeah.
had problems getting the book. So I don't know if I missed a year, if I was just lucky, or what had happened, but they had never gatekeep the books like this. It was very strange because yeah, it was very odd.
Oh
So
my
did you keep
gosh.
doing your life group or what was the
Yeah.
consequence?
Yeah, I kept doing it,
Okay.
and I just printed the huge book off online and made a few extra copies for the extra guests that I had in my group that I wasn't able to have, and one for myself because obviously I gave my book to somebody. So it was fine. You know,
Right.
there was nothing that was going to stop me from doing it.
There it is again. Oh,
Okay, well
sorry.
that's good. I mean, that's a different angle. I was thinking that you were told not to, so that's better. I mean, here's the thing. It's like regardless, it's a little bit more of an exercise of control than obviously you were comfortable with. And that
Yeah.
just the reality is like you were doing something not because the church told you to, but because the Lord had put it on your heart.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't, there's nothing that we do that should have to be dictated by the church. I know a lot of people will disagree. They'll say order and honor and all of that. But as long as your group is not in any way dishonoring the church or conflicting with the church, which you could still be asked to do something that conflicts with the church. I'm not saying that that's never going to be asked of you. But as long as that was not happening, then there really is no need for interference. And so it just feels it's probably not altogether wrong, and even in your mind, but it's altogether too much control and making you a little uncomfortable for somebody that's specifically not healed from a situation. So
Yeah.
you're being kind of told what you need to do and how you need to do it by people that have never shown you care. So it's just that uncomfortable place, you know. So yeah, it's not the facts. Right. It's the impact. It's the how are these situations making me feel
Yeah.
and what are they making me believe about myself? Because once again, it's like, oh, you heard I'm having women in my house and you need it sanctioned by the church. It needs to be registered to the church. Once again, that builds in that message. Like, do you guys not view me as a safe person?
Yeah.
So I don't want to put that, I'm not saying that that's how you feel. And I'm not saying that that's how
Yeah.
you need to feel. I want you to reflect on that. I want you to reflect on these core things, not the situations or even like, okay, this is how it felt, but what does that say to you? Because
That's
at the same time, it's like it speaks to you're telling me I'm not safe. But every time I'm put in a situation where I'm hurt, I'm brought in everything's all hunky dory, and then I'm met with something negative or oppositional. And so I don't feel like you're safe, you know? So it's like, it's not the situation or how it made you feel. It's what are the agreements that are happening, right?
yeah.
What are the core things that I need to be able to move beyond? Do you need them to see you as safe? Is that a part of you are staying because you want to fight to rewrite that narrative and gain back your image? And my gosh, I'm not going to walk away until that is restored,
Hmm.
right? Like, what is that core? Because it's not the reasons you gave, there's something deeper there.
I think when Danielle and I talked, she was right. Like, I'm very passionate about this, and I don't want to say I demand change, but like, this is going to sound really crazy, but like, I want a meeting with the very head pastor. Like, I want to talk through this because we need more volunteers. I don't care what church you go to or believe in. Like, we need more people like coming to coming
Yes.
to God. Like, that is what it's about. And I'm very passionate about this. And like I said, I want change. And even if this is the situation in another church as well, like, I think it's just very important that the leaders starts at the top, the leaders take things like this in consideration especially in today's world, that there's not a lot of cookie cutter things out there, and you're losing and you're pushing away people, and you're like people that, I mean, everybody needs God. Like,
Right.
they're creating barriers and making it very hard for people to even trust Christians in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I very much like,
Trust.
I have people in my life group that one that was semi-atheist months ago,
Yeah.
but she's there, she's getting that relationship, but it's about trust. And
Right.
I am passionate. I don't just stay at my church for this, but I am very passionate, and I would like change. What have I done about it? Prayed. I have prayed, and I'm here with you. And
Yeah.
I, like I said, for all churches, I feel like it should be a situational thing.
Yeah.
I was raised with 12 plus kids in my home that weren't even mine, like I
Yeah.
love children, and you're going to tell me I'm not good enough, but now I'm married and I am good enough. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Right. And it's not even like, yeah, it
May
doesn't work.
I?
So,
Paige,
Yeah.
trust came up as a theme, and I think it comes back to like the agreement that
Right.
I'm not Paige, and I'm not like the same thing where I'm not telling you what to think or feel, but this is just some things I'm hearing. Is you said like one of the reasons you're so passionate about wanting to make sure that there is change within the church is so that people can trust the church.
Yeah.
And a core theme that we're dealing with you right now that I think there's some agreement on is the church doesn't trust me.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
And so I think that is key. And I
Yeah.
think that is that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Um,
So the trust speaks to they don't trust her to be safe.
exactly.
So it
And
feeds into safety because you want
yes,
people to trust the church so that they feel
feel
safe.
safe.
You want your
Exactly.
Yes.
husband to be able to trust the
Yes.
church because you want him to feel safe because you want him to keep coming. And the concern, you're driving home, you're concerned that this is going to disrupt the safety that's allowing him to attend church with his family.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a breach of trust, and then you go to the core of that, and then you don't feel safe.
Yeah.
So if somebody, as a friend, they talk behind your back, that breaks your trust, but that means you no longer feel safe with them.
Correct.
That is the issue.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, why don't you just trust me? It's like, well, because you disrupted my safety. I no longer feel safe with you. So you can say you're never going to talk behind my back again, but I have to regain my safety with you.
Yeah.
And that is experiential. So when you've been over time not been able to regain your safety,
Yep.
because it's not even just a lack of repair, it's also like you're actively going and you're not experiencing things that are building within you safety,
Yeah.
which tells you a lot. It should tell you a lot.
I think you walking into the room and not knowing but knowing, I think the
Right.
discernment kicked in because it felt unsafe. Your spirit, I think your spirit knew that was an unsafe room, not because of what had
Right.
happened before,
Right.
but because that trauma lives in your body and it recognized it
Right.
immediately. And
Yeah. And how about like, what if they for sure weren't talking about you, but they were talking about something that your spirit was not feeling?
any,
Right.
Yeah.
So you can say either because you feel it so strongly, and I'm not trying to disagree with you, that they were talking about me, or you can say I am 99 or 100% accurate that when I walked into that room, my discernment kicked in and I did not like whatever was being discussed.
yeah, was not
Very
safe.
accurate.
It was not,
Yes.
Was not safe.
yeah.
Yeah. Whether it was about me or someone else. Yes.
Anything else? Like,
Yes.
It could have 100% been about
Yes.
somebody else, and that's not safe either.
that's not safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so okay, so the main thing is, let me just kind of like in summation, and I want to pray for you. I want you to write out, this is your homework. I give homework, by the way.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you some podcasts. And I have to write stuff down as I think it. Homework. I need you to write out. Um, Everything that you would say if you had a meeting with the pastor.
Okay. I've already started on that.
Okay. And then I want you to write out like almost like if if the head pastor then said, okay, what I like you. I want you to do some of these things. What are some things that you would build in, and what is some infrastructure that you would put in place to provide safety for people in volunteer positions? So like
Okay.
give me some like productive feedback of how, because that's what we in situations when we're really hurt, the hardest thing is like my expectation of I would have done it differently. And that's it's fair. That doesn't make them inherently wrong and you inherently right. It just means if I was given that scenario, I would have done it differently. So like build that out too. What would you say to the head pastor? Also, what would you suggest? Not just these are my concerns and my grievances, but this is what I would suggest if I was given the opportunity to make change.
Yeah.
So if you want to
Okay.
if you want to do something about it, then tell me what you want to do about it. Like, let's just say that that's how the conversation went. I also want you to actively be praying about whether or not you are going to be released to reach out to them,
Okay.
because I think you have every right to reach out to the lead pastors of that campus and say I'm just requesting a meeting, a coffee meeting. I can come to the church. It can be very brief. You can give me a time limit, but I would like a meeting. So pray about and ask God if that's something that you are released to do. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I'm not the
Okay.
Holy Spirit, and I'm not guiding your life, right?
Yes.
But then if He gives you the go ahead, the response is crucial. Tells
Yep.
you it's a piece of information. So this is where like I want you to heal. I want you to dig into some of these core themes, right? But I also want you to do just natural things for your brain to seek that safety, right? And seek more information. Well, I'm trying to seek repair, lay out my grievances. Is that met with an open door, an invitation, kindness, care? Because then you can compartmentalize this one person's behavior. Right now, you don't have
Yes.
the ability to. It's just blanket swept over leadership. That's not necessarily fair. So you need to seek the Lord on whether or not you're free to seek out the information you need. Does this situation match the rest of the leadership? Because if it does, gives you a lot of information about where God is leading you, because reveal things to you that he will not reveal things like this to you if he doesn't have a better solution or repair or something that he's wanting to shift. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So those are like the things, what to be praying about to seek solutions. And then obviously you can be praying about these kind of like core things, these agreements. I'm going to send you some podcasts, and
Okay.
then the writing out like your grievances, and then also your action plan.
Okay.
You may never do anything with that if the Lord doesn't release you to reach out to these people, or if they say no. But it's for you.
Okay.
Okay. And then the podcast I'm going to send you is some spiritual abuse and some church hurt episodes from Adam Young podcast. It's my favorite. He's my go-to in referrals. Unless I sporadically think of another person, he's like really got a lot of really good stuff on this. Because they say spiritual abuse, and this is January still. Okay, so January is Spiritual Abuse Awareness Month. I don't know if you knew that.
I
And
did not.
they say
What?
yes, yes. So we are in that right now. So they say that spiritual abuse has the potential to be as significant as PTSD
Wow.
because of the nature of it. Um, so just so you know, what you're dealing with is not insignificant. And it is not like you can say the scenario and people could say, well, that's not such a big deal. It's not like you could get over that. All of those things. That's just people that want to minimize things. I hope that you don't ever feel the need to do that. But what you're dealing with is significant. And this is the body. And we are we are to function together and to care for each other. And so your story matters. What you've been through matters. What you needed in those moments matters. And your cross is not to continually be in pain. Your cross is to take what you've been through and make sure other people don't have to go through it the same way. So you
Yes.
take your test and you make it a testimony. The cross is
Yes.
not continual pain. The cross is, what pain did Jesus heal that you can take away from others? So you are
Yes.
being equipped and prepared to properly care for his people and to make change and bring reform. And that tells me a
Yes.
lot about your potential spiritual giftings, which I won't speak to now, but you
Mhm.
have that discernment and potentially some other things where reform is a key theme. So I digress. Okay, so understand.
To
Do
be
you need me
continued.
to be continued? It's never, like I said, it's cyclical, so it's never just a wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Um, but these are all things like naming, right? I might even send you some. Hold on one second, because I will forget it. I can say it right now, but I will forget it if I don't write it down. I might send you some journaling prompts as well on naming more specifically some of those key emotions. Okay. And then I'm gonna pray over you, and then we're gonna be wrapped up, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Just so you know, as a child, like I said, we're gonna go back to the beginning here before I pray. You were brought into the world, into a situation where before you really have memory, your family was split, okay? So the safety that's built into the family dynamic and the home dynamic and that life, that was taken from you. Okay.
Mhm.
So then you're met with a lot of change, a lot of shift, nothing stable, nothing sturdy, nothing hard. This is secure.
Yes.
Lots of wavering pieces, lots of moving parts, people coming into your life, people going out of your life. Your father and his situation, he works so much, and this is his situation over here. And so, as a child and in your formative years, there really is a lot of shifting, a lot of moving. So, you are going to be preconditioned to either shift and move for the rest of your life or hard hold to
Mhm.
anything that you can feel secure in.
Yeah.
Okay. You lacked safety because even if your mom, like you said, love you, mom,
Mhm.
this is not mom's fault. She did the best she could.
Yes.
But a lack of a father in the home or someone stable that was always there creates a lack of safety for any child. Okay. So then you start your life. You get into a relationship. You have a daughter. She goes through a cancer battle. The immense lack of safety that you felt in that, I can't even begin to fathom. Okay. Your child is born. If they are in any kind of pain whatsoever, or if anything is not 100% right, it is an extreme grievance to the parent. So then you're dealing with that. You are dealing with compounded lack of safety. My daughter is not safe. I am not safe. Okay. So you've dealt with this stirring.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you come into this situation with your church. And my God, shouldn't we be able to feel safe? Okay. So then your safety is disrupted. But we've got to find out why you're holding on so tight.
Yes.
Because just because it's here, it's always going to be here. It's this firm foundation.
Yeah.
Does it equal safety? Truly. And all of this stuff God is going to guide you through. He's not going to leave
Yes.
you here. He's not going to leave you.
Yes.
He's got you. And he does have a plan, like a big plan,
Yes.
not to keep you in pain, not to make that your cross to bear, the thorn in your flesh. He has a plan for safety for you
Yep.
and for your daughter, your stepson,
Yes.
and your husband.
Yes.
Okay. So, dear Jesus, we just thank you so much for who you are. We thank you for your plan for us, even though we don't always know what it is. We thank you for comforting us when we're in confusion. We thank you for meeting us in the messy middle, for being able to show up for us in the moments where people fail us and humans just show how human they are. They bring their error to the table and they launch it at us. And we just forgive right now, God. We just ask that you bring light and love to the people that have harmed us. We ask that you um, peel open their eyes, Jesus, so that they can see the ways that they may have aided to other people's pain, or even if unintentionally hurt others, harmed others, that just have their eyes on you and want to serve you and your people, God. We just ask that you open their eyes, soften their hearts, Jesus. Allow them to see and feel you. Allow them to know what hurts you, because what hurts us hurts you, God. So allow them to know that. But we just forgive them. We forgive them right now and we release them. We ask that you help us to move forward and be able to name things specifically. So, on this path of forgiveness, we can continually strip back layer by layer any of the impact of these negative situations. We don't want to be infected or affected by these toxic situations anymore. We want to once and for all be able to step forward and say, this no longer is going to dictate my life. We release all need. We release all need right now for the story to be righted, because you are our source of justice and vindication. We release the need to have people's opinions corrected. We release the need for anything that you don't need for us in this season. We don't need to know what other people think about us. We need to know how other people view us. We don't need to know how they heard the story or what story they have in their head. We don't need to know anything. We just release that need right now. And God, I just ask that you build in to Aubrey right now the correct story, the narrative that you would have her to believe, God. Just build in her the strength to know, to stand and to say out loud, I am a safe person. I am safe for children. I am safe for adults. I am safe for women that you would bring into my home that I can minister to. And all of that, saying, help her to say that with such strength, because Jesus, she lacked safety for so many years in her life, but you have shown up and made her safe. You have allowed her to go through all of these circumstances and against all odds, never have been provided that and modeled that herself, but yet she has become a safe place. Jesus, I ask that you show up for her in a new way right now, because her heart is to serve you. Her eagerness is to build your church and build your kingdom. And what a beautiful desire it is that you've placed within her to want reformation for your church and for your body, Jesus, to want safety for your people, to want to be able to round up the misfits and let them be heard and let them be loved by you, God. The desire that everybody would know you. So show up for her, strengthen her, guide her in these next steps, guide her to the conversations that she needs to have, guide her to the decisions that she needs to make, strengthen her. If she's to stay, remove the pain. Help her process this fully, not continuing to go over and over and around the mountain, but fully process, fully name, and fully uproot any of the lies and any of the agreements that have tried to take root in this season. We command all of those things to just be loosed right now. We just thank you so much. We thank you that you see us, that you hear us. We thank you that you don't need us to be perfect, but you want us to be willing. We thank you for her faith, and I just ask that you encourage her. Find ways to encourage her. Show up to her in new ways, Jesus. Speak to her in new ways. Give her confirmation. Just illuminate her path so clearly, God. And we just thank you so much for your presence, for your instruction, for your wisdom, for your guidance. We thank you for your Holy Spirit that just, gosh, it just guides us every step of the way and heals us so deeply. We honor you, Jesus, and we thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to send some homework
Okay.
over the podcast mainly and then some journaling prompts.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me on here, ladies.
Yeah, for sure. This was fun. It was nice to meet you. Um,
Yes, nice to meet
not
you.
not fun to talk about all of this stuff, but girl, what's amazing is that you care. You care a lot, and you didn't
Yes.
just tuck tail and back off. Even if the reasons of staying maybe aren't the healthiest, and you want to
Mhm.
rewire them with God, you are strong and you're
Yes.
determined and truly you have such good intentions and I would take 1,000 of you, so just be encouraged in that. I'm definitely encouraged by this conversation. Even though we discussed some hard things, I'm encouraged by your heart and your desire to serve the kingdom and to serve God's people and to serve the church. It's needed. So like
Yes.
let's spread the word. Like, hey, if we find healing, there's going to be a lot of people that are willing to step into some things. So
Yes.
carry the torch. I believe God's going to illuminate more opportunities for you to be able to carry that torch. I believe
Yes.
you're just getting started with your story. So
Thank you.
for sure. All right. Well, that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great job. All right. Bye, guys.